Hello everybody, it's WJ here and welcome back to the Noord. In this episode I'm going to show you more advanced uses for procedural objects. First we start with a bridge. We place it, scale it down and then get rid of the foundation parts that I do not like. After that I detail one side of the bridge a bit. Then go over to another part of the city to build some terraces on the canal side. Transform a building which I cannot explain right now, but will make sense when you see it, and then a really important building called the Doelen. So keep watching till the end if you're interested in stories about medieval militias. Over to what I'm doing on screen right now. I'm trying to find the right scale and placement of the bridge. Sadly, when turned into a PO, it's green instead of white as they usually are. But I guess this bridge is a special one. After I'm satisfied with the placement, it's time to get rid of those foundations. It's simply a matter of selecting the right nodes and moving them up, down, left, right, forward or backwards. In this case it's quite easy to find the right nodes, as there aren't that many of them. Later on, you'll see me struggle with a building that has a forest of nodes. But that's something for later. When adjusting nodes in this way, it's best if you use page up, page down and the arrow keys instead of the mouse, because you move the nodes in fixed steps. When you press the wrong button, you can easily go back. I myself tend to press the wrong button pretty much any time I press a button. Now that the foundations are gone, I move the two bridge parts slightly apart by selecting all the right nodes and press the right buttons. Then I'll create my own foundations out of the canal walls I made earlier. I copy the two parts one by one and set them to the right elevation. Every time I'm editing these videos I'm so happy, as I see numerous mistakes or things that I could have done in a much easier way. In this case, I should have copied the two parts of the canal walls together, so after rotating and placing, I only had to adjust the height of them both, instead of placing one and then struggling to align the rotation of the second part. Oh well, I guess I'm not the City Skylines genius I claim to be. Although there are a lot of things in life where in hindsight you would have done it differently. But I guess this is not the place or time to delve in these kind of issues. Now that I'm satisfied with the wall, I copy it over to the other side. And then copy it to the other side of the other side. And then, oh, well, never mind, you get it. I place another wall piece under the bridge to finish it off, and adjust the height somewhat to align the grooves in the wall. And then, oh, well, never mind, you get it. A little terraforming network to make sure I can see where I have to place the next canal wall elements. But the bridge is quite a bit higher, so I added the upper wall part to stretch it a bit and create a slope. Then I do the same for the sides of the foundation of the bridge. Because I set the texture to repeat itself, I can stretch them out without making wonky textures. I have to change the terrace area next to the bridge, as these wall parts aren't necessary anymore. So I copy the ploppable pavement and a little extra terraforming network to get rid of the grassy bump, before copying the decals. and the view from these benches isn't that interesting anymore. So I just delete them and move the planter and the tree. As I don't want to bore you to death with placing buildings over and over again, I just show you the result before continuing the bridge area. I place some ferry fenders to prevent boats from floating into the walls in the corner. Again with PO, to adjust them slightly to my liking and also to save on the prop count. I needed an extra pole here that I have to lower. When you lower it with your mouse, for some reason right after you clicked it, it drops quite a bit. And when you're zoomed in too much, you can't raise it enough. Just press page up and it will show up again. Behind the fenders is a perfect little area for some water flora. I use reeds and water lilies for this. It would be awesome to also place a water bird's nest here, like a coot or something. But sadly, no such thing is on the workshop yet. And I'm not a skilled asset creator myself. Maybe I should get into that. Although, a bird's nest is probably not the easiest thing to start with. For the slope towards the bridge, I just place the pavement squares and lower the nodes on one side. After that, I move some stuff around to cover some of the gaps and then copy the slope walls to the other side. Then, a few little adjustments and this side of the bridge is pretty much done. Off camera, I continued the canal walls and the pavement. As you can see in the end result, the side of the road is sticking out. In a later episode, you'll see how I cover it up with some planters and a nice docking area for boats. But now we move over to the canal side we built in the previous episode to create some terraces. First, I place some awnings, because pubs and restaurants always have them, am I right? Then I place a ton of tables and chairs. I only want to use the darker ones. So after I think I have enough, I delete the light tables and move the dark ones into position. Some different tables and chairs to spice things up and place them all on the canal side. some umbrellas of Dutch beer brands and a Belgian one, and some American thing with a lot of sugar. I place everything on the street for the perfect height, then copy with Move It without terrain conforming enabled. You know, that button with the little wave. I rotate the umbrellas for a nice, natural, chaotic look. I place these pub logos to show to which pub the different terraces belong. Otherwise the Sims will be very confused and might sit down at the wrong table. Welcome to Awkward Commentary with WJ. We need to separate the different terraces with separators. I use the prop line tool to create a nice row. Then select a few and copy them around. Finally, something I've done that I cannot fault in hindsight. I leave gaps in front of the spots where you can enter the terrace without walking into a table. And that's pretty much it for now. Off camera I filled another block with houses, and, as I explained in the previous episode, I feel that some of these houses need to be extended. I could just place a copy behind the building, but then the top part of the gable would stick out in the middle, and I don't like that. So instead I turned the building into a PO. To get a good view when zoomed in, I lowered the building into the ground. Then I start moving the nodes of the gable. But there are a lot of nodes, and it's really hard to find the correct ones. I also press the wrong buttons time and time again. And watch out, some nodes also affect the roof. Press the arrow keys or page up and down for large steps, hold the Alt key while doing that for small steps, and hold Shift to slide the nodes. Now enjoy watching me struggle and turn the front gable into a complete mess. But in the end, that does not matter, because when we move this building into position, all you can see is the roof and the backside, turning the original building into a way longer one. The building that I've placed here with PO is a city palace in real life, but in my city it is known as the Doelen. I'm placing some pathways and then a lot of pavement around the building, and in the meantime I'll explain what this building actually is. The Doelen, literally targets, were the training grounds for the guilds of the Schutterij, or the Shooters Guild. The Schutterij was a voluntary city guard or citizen militia during medieval and early modern times. They protected the city from attacks or acted as firefighters. The trading grounds were usually open spaces within the city, near the city walls. Next to these open spaces you'd find a large building where they met indoors for gymnastic exercises and held their meetings. The officers of the schutterij were usually either regents of the city or wealthy citizens who pursued a career in politics and used the schutterij as a stepping stone to other important jobs within the city council. This meant that they had quite a few bucks to spend. So, every time a new officer was installed, they hired a painter to create a group portrait they could hang in the meeting chambers. That's why there are a lot of these group portraits, or schutterstukken in Dutch. The most famous one is, of course, the Nachtwacht, the Night Watch, by Rembrandt. In a lot of old Dutch cities you can still find these buildings, or, if they have been demolished, at least a street called the Doelenstraat, or something similar. What you're seeing me doing right now is lining out the different pavement textures with these pavement cubes that I've rotated so the direction of the pavement is different from that of the street. In the corners, where they overlap slightly, the texture flickers due to sea fighting. So, let's adjust the nodes to stop them from overlapping. In this case, the mouse is way more precise than the arrow keys. And after all that is done, we take a short look at the front of the building before placing a few bollards to prevent cars from driving into the corner building. And then this episode comes to a close. I hope you have enjoyed it and that maybe I have shown you a few tips and tricks to improve your building skills or inspire you in any way. If you have any questions or suggestions, do leave them in the comment section. And if you like this video, please give it a nice thumbs up. Next episode will detail the Doelen even more and try to expand the city a fair bit. But for now, have a great day and hope to see you next time. Bye bye.